just not put anything on it.
It was 7 p.m. on October 20th, 1968. Only a few spectators remained in the Mexico City Olympic Stadium. The winner of the 26-mile marathon had crossed the finish line more than an hour ago, and the remaining marathon runners were across the finish line leaving the track. As the last few spectators also began to leave, they suddenly heard the sounds of sirens. One last runner appeared at the entrance. The man, whose leg was bloody and bandaged, was wearing the colors of Tanzania. He was in intense pain, hobbled around the 400-meter track in the stadium, and the few remaining spectators rose and applauded him as though he was the winner. After crossing the finish line, he slowly walked off the field. Considering his injury and that he had no chance of winning any medal, a curious spectator asked him why he did not quit the race. The runner replied, "My country did not send me 7,000 miles to start the race. They sent me 7,000 miles to finish it." Good evening. I'm Tyrone Ruff, and I want to finish strong. I hope that my message today encourages you all to finish strong as well. We all likely have struggles with work, kids, and just life in general. I can only speak for myself, but I had thoughts of not finishing ITL, LA. However, I know that was the enemy trying to sabotage me and my spiritual journey. Sure, I had valid reasons for not finishing ITLA, but my wife and I prayed on it, and here I am. When I coach basketball, I've noticed that the hardest part in the basketball season is the last 2 weeks because the players start thinking about other sports, academic demands, and they're getting tired. They start thinking that these last few weeks are not as important as the first few weeks. Isn't this similar to how we as Christians approach our walk with Christ? Many Christians begin strong. They begin their Christian life as a sprint, full of energy and joy, but may begin to waver as adults because of the demands of life, career, and family. I want you to consider the possibility of bringing the same excitement and energy to your walk with Christ throughout your Christian life to finish strong. Think about this. What if Noah had not completed the ark? What if Moses had not finished delivering his people from the wilderness? What if Job had given up on God after the devil tested him? What if Joseph had given up on God the minute he was thrown in the pit or imprisoned by his captors? Modern day, what if? What if Nelson Mandela had not continued to fight for the right for black South Africans? What if the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. had discontinued his fight for civil rights when life grew demanding and his life in danger? Towards the end of Martin Luther King's speech, King refers to threats against his life and uses language that seems to foreshadow his impending death, but reaffirmed that he was not afraid to die. Here's the speech, part of it. "Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. And I don't mind. Like anybody, I like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain, and I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we, as a people, will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." The next day, he was assassinated. The book of Timothy, where Paul writes to Timothy, reminds me of King's last speech to his followers. The most striking feature of Paul's encouragement comes when the aging apostle used a phrase that showed up prominently in his letter to Timothy 4 years prior. In that earlier letter, Paul exhorted Timothy to fight the good fight. 1 Timothy 1:18. But in this letter, Paul turned that phrase on himself, writing that he had fought the good fight, finished the course, kept the faith. 2 Timothy 4:7. What a great encouragement it must have been to know the young pastor of the church of Ephesus, to know that his mentor boldly modeled his perseverance in the faith, even to the point of death. When I was in the military and stationed in the United Kingdom, whenever I had the chance to go back to the States to see my family, I took it. So I'll take you back to 1999. I had been sent to Texas for a class. My mom had been in the hospital for about a month. She had a heart attack when I was younger and had been sickly since then. After the class finished, I went to South Carolina to visit her in the hospital, a surprise to her. When I was there, I asked if she wanted to go for a walk around the hospital, and she agreed. Once we returned, the nurse came to me and asked me, she said, my mother has been in the hospital for a month, and this is the first time she had left her room. About 2 days later, my mom was released to go home. I had to leave in a couple of days later. And as I was leaving, I got ready to give my mom a kiss, which I normally do when she's sitting on the chair. I went to give her a kiss, and she said, no, wait. She wanted to walk me to the door. If you can imagine a screen door, a door with this far, the screen is up here, and this part is blocked off. My mom stood at that door. She stopped and says, I will walk you to the door. My mom waved bye to me. That was the last time I saw my mom alive. 2 days later, my mom was back in the hospital after I left. She passed away 4 months after that. I believe she was telling me that she was going to be okay, and that she was finishing strong, and that's how she wanted me to remember her. I thank God for that. The stories about the marathon runner, the basketball team, and my mom all remind me that we should finish strong here in ITLA as well. We did not sign up for ITLA to start it. We're here to finish it strong. Let's pray.